Well, this morning I'm joined by Madison Owen, who was the second Grace Church Summer Service intern, and she held that role for 2 summers in a row. So our Grace Church community got to know Madison well and loves her very much and is loved by her very much. Madison and I, over the academic year, been talking really, she's been discerning what to do with life after graduation from Western, and has really a very exciting plan that I wanted the parish to know about so that we can hold her in prayer and just to raise the profile of this neat program that she's doing, because we'll get into this a little bit later, but there's actually one of these programs in our own diocese that's starting up. So Madison, tell us about what you're going to be doing post-graduation.
I will be moving to Tucson, Arizona to join the Episcopal Service Corps called Beloved in the Desert. And right now, I'm not sure what my exact role will be, but I will be serving and living in intentional community with 3 other people who I'm very excited, and I'm excited to see what that looks like, especially during this time of the pandemic, but I'm excited to meet them and work with them and surf with them and pray and learn. So I'm excited.
So a lot of people may not know the term intentional community. What does that term mean for you, or how do you think about those words?
So in lots of my interviews that I've had, like discerning where I would go, I asked a lot of those questions about like what intentional community looks like. And it's kind of just a group of people comes together and they decide like a rule of life that they want to live by, and making sure that everyone is agreeing on that. And also if they don't agree, they like work together to like talk and come to just find ways that are healthy, like communication, like boundaries and things like that. So I'm excited to learn to be more like loving in a community. That's something that I really have wanted for a really long time, and to feel loved in that way. So I'm excited that we'll be able to do that together.
That's awesome. I'm having a moment with my computer. Hold on.
Okay.
Could be an editing possibility. Okay. I don't know why. I just kind of. There you are. You're back.
Oh, yay.
So yeah, so it sounds like there's different types of intentional communities. Like I hope in some ways Grace Church is an intentional community, but it's just that the boundaries of our intentionality are not as intense as say living together and having to figure out meals and sharing receipts, and somebody likes to stay up late and somebody gets up early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely felt a sense of intentional community when I got to stay at Paula's house, and that was just so wonderful and such a gift. And getting to be able to like share meals with people once a week through my internship at Grace as well, I felt so loved, and just everyone was like coming together to like be with me, and just that made me feel so special, and a very good introduction to like an intentional life and community.
So with the Episcopal Service Corps, how did that program get started? What's the kind of the background of it?
Through my like research, I found that like different like individual adult service projects were kind of started through the Episcopal Church in really major cities around the 1980s. So around places like DC and LA, and I think one in Washington maybe, and a couple other like bigger populated cities, people started doing service project work. And then they like found out about each other like in the mid like 2000s, and they were like, how can we work together to make this a more sustainable program? And like what can we do well that works together, and what can we do well individually? So now they've created the Episcopal Service Corps, which is just a network of service industries or service programs. And so a lot of the ones that are created now are right now have been around for a long time, but maybe they've gone through lots of different names. But their basis is just like they all agree that they serve the community, and then they all have like an intentional community living space. They promote justice within the community through their service projects. A lot of them are centered around like food security, homelessness, and things like that. So that's kind of like their goal, is just to make a more just and loving world through the Episcopal Church and God.
Yeah, so it's like it's a time of both service, learning to love your neighbor, including the people you live with in a particular way, but also more broadly in this community you're placed in, where you're working often with the poor.
Yeah.
And then it's also in the context of, I think this is right, usually there's an Episcopal church that really sponsors the community. So there's also formation that goes two ways. Liturgically, that kind of like really living into our particular spiritual gifts as Episcopalians, but also the parish community, just like we did at Grace, interacting, hearing about, for example, when you were at Pigeon Center, some of the challenges and the joys of working in that community, and having our hearts opened a little bit wider to what God's doing way outside the boundaries of the walls of the church.
Yeah. One of the reasons that I really was drawn to the community of Beloved in Tucson was just like how very like they're just so intentionally like planned how you interact with the Episcopal Church. Like we have like you're required to attend services, but I think that's just so wonderful. Like there are some programs where they don't require you to do that, but the one in Tucson just seems very good for me because there was so much involved with the Episcopal Church that I enjoy. Like we're required to serve in some capacity, like either that's acolyting or singing, which I've done at Grace both. And also we are also involved in a campus ministry there as well. They're really centered around the University of Arizona's campus ministry, which I'm excited to work with because I've never gotten to participate in something like that. So
yeah, like a big group setting of other college students. Yeah, that's awesome. That's wonderful. So there's a new Episcopal Service Corps that's kind of growing in our diocese. And can you tell us a little bit about that? I know you intentionally, I don't know if you chose to apply there or not, probably not, because you love the mountains and the mountains are part of you already. So go fly away for a while, but come back.
Yeah. I actually, they were, when I was looking at my application, they were under like a year of, they were waiting to start. So when I was applying, they were actually planning on starting in January of this year. So it just didn't line up correctly. But I'm excited for that community to start. And I can't remember if they're starting in the fall or not. I did have a talk with Eden a couple months ago, and that was really wonderful because we shared like, this is what my intentional community is going to look like. And she was telling me all about like the new house that they have and how like they would find out. She was telling me that they're planning on like, once someone applies, they kind of find out what their job is after they get there. Whereas I was told like, these are some potential service places you'll be working at. So it was very neat to see how all the different service corps, while they all like have the same mission, are like, they're different in many ways. But I think it'll be really cool. They get to work with many different parishes within the Western North Carolina. And I think that's just so wonderful to be. I wish I could give back to like a community that I grew up in and do call home, but I'm excited to move to Arizona for a little while, be in the desert.
Oh yeah, I mean that's just going to be such a rich experience, and I think I just trust that cycle of reciprocity, even if it's not exactly back, like you're contributing to it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been a really just such a bright light for Grace Church in so many ways. You're well, playing the euphonium. I mean, how many people play the euphonium at church? I mean, that is just awesome. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg, the work with the youth, children's chapel, Vacation Bible School, reading, lecturing, serving the Eucharist, opening yourself and your vulnerability to a group of loving adults that until you formed relationships, you didn't know them. I mean, just, I could keep going. So, but I'm curious from your perspective, from your spirit-informed eyes and vision, how you see the God working in and through and around the Grace Church / Haywood County, Waynesville-ish community.
Yeah, I just think, I remember like going to Grace for the first time and just like feeling like just this presence, like these people are so special. And like there's just an overwhelming sense of love that you like feel when you walk into the doors of Grace and or around the grounds, like in the Giving Garden. That was one of my very favorite places to be, like on the whole wide earth. But just, and then like through the work with my internship, when people just came together, like you said, they didn't know me that well. They just kind of let me in and do things for a while. And that like sense of trust and like love, I've never felt anything else like that before. And I can see like the Holy Spirit and God moving through people as they come together to support me, and then also each other. Just that so many different like ministries go on at Grace. And like I grew up Episcopalian and going to church, but I've never felt just such an overwhelming sense of love that you do at Grace. And the encouragement to like work at the Pigeon Center as well. That is a place where I feel like the Holy Spirit is always there, because just the amount of giving and the amount of like love that is like received there as well is so wonderful. Like I worked with the youngest age group there, and that's like my favorite age group of kids to work with. And while I like gave them a lot of love and like thought that I was like the teacher helping them, they also like taught me in return and made me feel loved and special and important. And I can't imagine that being anything else but the work of God. And so
yes, yeah, and it's so encouraging just to hear that witness. I think sometimes those of us, we go through periods in life when we're more or less in touch with or perceptive of the Holy Spirit. And so when we are able to hear somebody witness to that so passionately as you have done and do, it is a great gift, a great gift. Well, I'm looking at our time and I'm wondering if there's any other things you want to share about the Episcopal Service Corps, or just any other things.
I think I've said a lot of things. I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being with us through this medium, and we hope to see you in some sort of safe, modified public worship when that's permitted. And you are leaving to drive to Arizona from your home in South Carolina in late July, mid-July?
Yeah. July 15th is when I'm leaving, and then I should arrive July 22nd.
Okay, that's going to be awesome. Well, I will make a note in my calendar to hold y'all in special prayer at that time. So
thank you. We'll need it. We're driving, so.
All right. Well, it's great to see you. Virtual hug.
Yay.
We'll talk to you later.
Bye, Joslyn.
Bye.